Welcome to the Overrated Experience Sports Betting Podcast. This is episode 42. Another week of sports betting action, sports betting talk, and news about sports. Welcome back for those who have been regular listeners. Welcome to those who are new to the podcast. This is, as I said, a gambling podcast with a mix of opinions and thoughts and whatever we want to talk about in relation to sports in general. You can follow the Overrated Experience Sports Betting Podcast on Twitter at EXPER2, and that's EXPER2 on Twitter, and Facebook. The page is Overrated Experience Sports Betting Podcast. Pretty easy to follow. It's a page that actually has that name, so please join us, join the community, see what's out there. We drop some picks in there. We want to hear your picks, drop some stories, opinions, thoughts, whatever we want to put in there. So welcome. Like I said, this is episode 42, and once again, we're joined by the lady from upstairs. Hello, lady from upstairs.
Hello.
How are you? We haven't talked since last podcast, episode 41. What have you done between episode 41 and 42? Anything exciting?
I made a few bets.
You made a few bets? Did you win any bets?
No.
No?
No luck.
Well, we're going to talk about betting right now. There's a lot to talk about in the world of sports. The NBA draft was tonight. I don't think there's any shock that, who went first overall. We'll get to that in a minute. Wembanyama, man, I know I'm going to butcher that name every time, goes first overall to the San Antonio Spurs. The least shocker, minus 5,000 to, if you're looking at the betting board for the NBA draft. And not since LeBron has there been a consensus number over generational basketball player that we've heard of until now. And San Antonio Spurs do it again. You get another big man, and they got him first overall. Also in the world of the NBA, there's a lot of trades that have happened. I don't know if lady from upstairs has been keeping up with some of those trades. Have you been keeping up?
No, I haven't.
Did you hear that Bradley Beal went from the Washington Wizards to the Phoenix Suns?
No, I didn't.
No, you didn't? Okay, that's a significant
I actually
move.
haven't been following much anything this week yet.
Okay, well, let's make sure that you're not under a rock going into episode 43. So also, that's a significant trade as the Phoenix Suns are all in on going to that next step and trying to get past Denver next year, getting to the NBA final. And trade today, which was a very interesting trade. So the Phoenix Suns, to make room for Bradley Beal, were talking about waiving Chris Paul. But in turn, they had made... Okay, there's just... The NBA is so wild when it comes to making trades that Chris Paul was traded to the Washington Wizards, and we knew that when he... you've heard CP3, Chris Paul, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Chris Paul was traded to the Washington Wizards, but basically that was for just a placeholder. He was just traded there when he was going to be moved. And what we found out today was that Chris Paul has been dealt to the Golden State Warriors. Right? Mm. And this is a move that, surprisingly though, took young Jordan Poole from the Warriors and went back to Washington. A few draft picks in between there. Interesting about this, and I don't know if you recall this, lady from upstairs, but during Jordan Poole's career, you've heard of Draymond Green, right?
Yes.
So there's an incident between when Draymond Green threw a punch at Jordan Poole in practice.
Yeah, remember seeing that.
Right? So everything's squashed, right? And what's weird is that Draymond Green opted out of his contract a few days back, and then suddenly Jordan Poole gets traded, and the new GM for the Golden State Warriors, when asked about Jordan Poole, let's go to the quote machine. The quote machine 3 days ago, Mike Dunleavy 3 days ago on Jordan Poole, this is thanks to Barstool Sportsbook, the Twitter page, with his, quote unquote, with his contract extension, we're talking about Jordan Poole, we're planning on having him here for 4 more years at least. And that was 3 days ago. And he's not there anymore.
Wow.
They traded him. So something happened there where the plan shifted. Whether it be the incident with Draymond Green and not being able to coexist going into next year, I don't know. But the Golden State Warriors, when I say Golden State Warriors, what player do you think of? Steph Curry, of course,
Yes, Steph
right?
Curry, of course. Yeah, sorry. I just totally drew a blank.
Wow. Okay.
Not enough
Drew a
wine
blank.
yet.
Okay, enough wine yet. Okay. So the Golden State Warriors in a weird scenario right now where obviously a few years back they were the dominant franchise. They were king of the castle. They were the top of the food chain in the NBA. Multiple rings, multiple finals appearances. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson. The years with Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, and then they kind of put it together after a few years of struggling, and go out and beat the Celtics, and win another championship last year, and then this year they get knocked out by the LA Lakers pretty easily. Actually, it wasn't really that complicated when the Lakers knocked them out. And I got a feeling that they've decided to, I got Steph, I got Clay, we got big contracts, and we're gonna take that last run. We're gonna bring in more veterans to help Clay, and Steph and whatever. Probably sign Draymond, but I think their ship has sailed. I think Golden State's era is over. I think they're trying to run it back, and I think that I don't think they're getting that it's over. It's over. Mm-hmm. And but if you got Steph Curry, you got to do something. So I guess I can't blame them, but I think Washington gets the better of that deal. Jordan Poole is an up and coming player. He's obviously not up and coming. He's a champion, but I think they get the better of the deal. So a lot of moves in the NBA draft tonight. I'm going to tell you something that really I don't get. I just don't get in the NBA. So every other league. And the NBA is probably the best at marketing themselves. So they're ahead of the game when it comes to innovation, playing in tournaments, marketing their players, all that sort of stuff. But I just don't get some of the draft stuff. So in the NHL and also in the NFL, if a team wants to make a trade for their draft pick, in the NFL or the NHL, they make the trade of the pick. So that if, let's just use an example. Let's say the Tampa Bay Lightning are about to draft, but the Toronto Maple Leafs call up and say, hey, I would love to have the 21st pick. All right? Great, let's make the deal. So they make the deal for the pick so that when the pick comes around, the Toronto Maple Leafs can come up and say, hey, I've picked this guy. Let him come up and take the pictures with my jersey on. Mm-hmm. Okay? NFL, same thing. The 21st pick has been traded to such and such a team, and they have selected. And the guy comes up and he puts the hat on of the team that's picked them and is going to keep them. But in the NBA, is weird because they will draft and then trade the guy.
Really?
Did you know that Kobe Bryant was originally drafted by the Charlotte Hornets?
No, I didn't know
and
that.
They drafted. Did you know that Vince Carter was originally drafted by the Golden State Warriors? And they got traded the same night. Wow. It doesn't make sense.
It's weird.
Because what happens is, the examples tonight, I'll give you an example. I'm going to go to the draft board here. Because this is, I'm going to say fucking weird because it's weird. I don't get it. So if I go to the NBA draft tracker on the score, and I look at the top picks, and it's already in round 2, and I don't want round 2. You bastards. Okay. So I'll give you an example. So the number 7 pick was Indiana picks Bilal Coulibaly out of France, and they pick him. He wears the hat, and then Washington picks Jarris Walker out of Houston. About 20 minutes later, they trade for each other. So right now you have pictures of Bilal with a Pacers hat and Jarris with a Washington hat. But 20 minutes later, now Jarris is a Pacer and Bilal is a Wizard. It makes no sense. And then I'm watching the Dallas Mavericks at number 10 select Cason Wallace out of Kentucky. And Adrian Wojnarowski, who's the main guy who knows everything that's going on in the NBA and he's the inside guy. He already let us know before the pick that the Oklahoma City Thunder have traded for this pick, and basically Dallas is going to pick for them. And the guy's sitting there on the couch being interviewed after he gets picked with a Dallas Mavericks hat when we already know he's being moved to the OKC Thunder? It doesn't make any sense. And the same thing happens a couple picks later when the OKC picks, but it's going to be for Dallas. It doesn't make any sense at all. And I don't get why the NBA does this. It's confusing.
Yeah.
And if you were just watching, you wouldn't have any idea what's going on with people bouncing around, putting their, the hat, something as simple as a hat to know where you've been drafted. And nobody says anything about this. I don't understand why that's happening, but just a peculiar situation going on in the NBA.
Very bizarre.
Very bizarre. So now we shift our focus to a breaking story that happened today in the NHL. Now, I talked previously on this podcast when throughout the year, many of the NHL teams had pride nights. They had nights celebrating like they would, for other events, but it was a focus for the NHL to have their teams celebrate on different dates, different pride nights. And what they would do is that they would create some fancy looking, actually different jerseys. They were pride, traditionally focused on the pride flag mixed into a concept of their jersey. And the controversy here was what creeped up throughout the year was that several players, as teams are rolling these out, had refused to wear these jerseys. The Stahl brothers in Florida being two players, James Reimer and the San Jose Sharks, citing religious reasons why they wouldn't. And then there was a few Russian players, actually, Provorov, of the Philadelphia Flyers, now the Columbus Blue Jackets, who cited that the fear, now maybe him and a few other Russian players, cited fear of repercussions at home in Russia to the reasons why they didn't want to put the jersey on. Mm-hmm. Anyway, whatever the reasons for doing it, it just pointed out the NHL really missing the boat on, if they're going to execute a night such as, making sure that everybody knows that hockey is for everybody, you had to read the room ahead of time to know, was everybody on board, and would I have faced what they faced which was, the focus on these minimal players that are saying no versus every other player who is, working with the program and, trying to promote the program. Mm-hmm. It really was a black eye on the NHL, and they really messed it up because I really didn't feel that they read the room. And this is a problem with the NHL leadership. They should have made sure if they were going to roll this out that every player was on board before they did it, because I feel there's been two steps back. Yeah. And it makes hockey look like it's not as accepting, which is a shame. It should be accepting to anybody who wants to play the sport, and there should be a typo that it's the white middle class Canadian or American that is the open door for this sport. That's just a bad image all around. But the NHL takes it another step further today. So the Board of Governors meeting happened, and teams will not wear specialty jerseys in warm-ups next season. And Gary Bettman's quote, as I've suggested, it would be appropriate for clubs not to change their jerseys in warm-ups, i.e. Pride Night, because it's become a distraction. No shit, it's become a distraction because you messed up the rollout of it. This way, we're keeping the focus on the game and cause. So, theme nights, whether it be for cancer, Pride will stay. Jerseys will be sold. So what they're going to do is essentially continue to have each of these nights like they did this season, but eliminate the whole jerseys on players before they switch back to the regular jerseys before the game. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to tell you that they either believe there's an economic blowback, kind of like the Bud Light situation that happened recently, that's making them make this decision, or just, again, this is such a backpedaling, just a bad image for the league, and it does not help the stereotype that this is not a league open arms for somebody who is maybe not heterosexual, not white, not of a certain religion. It's just a bad view for the NHL that they rolled out a program and basically rolled a big portion of the back. It's going to be the only focus in the media. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. No, I find it interesting that he also, Gary Bettman referred to it as a distraction. I don't know, that word just seemed, I just don't know if it was the right word, but I guess he was just trying to be more like generalized, right? But I think, like you said, I don't think, they did their due diligence in the beginning, and now they're backtracking, and it just doesn't look good for the organization at all moving forward.
Yeah, they have real egg on their face, and it's just, again, I will promote to you that the leadership has been around. Gary Bettman's been commissioner for over 30 years.
There's got to be a change.
And I don't know how many CEOs for 30 years have been successful. Some have, I guess, but for the majority, you got to have somebody maybe has a better sense of what's going on in today's world. And I don't think that's happening. So that's a story I think it'll grow and grow as time goes on. Another few stories before we get to some of our picks include interesting story. This is from Jeff Zokadin and on Twitter, and that is at Jeff Zokadne. And he spells it, I'm going to say this, at GEOFFZOCHODNE. That's his Twitter handle. And he's reporting that the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario announced yesterday that it was issued fines of $15,000 each to BetVictor and Fitzdares for allegedly offering wagering on junior hockey, namely the OHL, WHL, and Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, and the operators can still appeal. So, what this means is that are you familiar with the OHL, the Ontario Hockey League, like the Oshawa Generals? And so there's the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, which is the equivalent of Quebec. Then there's the Western Hockey League, which is exactly the same thing across the West, multiple provinces. And they meet for the Memorial Cup every year. There's 15-year-old players up to 20-year-old players. And the idea here is that betting sites are restricted from offering odds on these games, but it's considered minor hockey. These are the same minor hockey teams that build miniature replicas of NHL rinks. These are large businesses. Okay, these are millionaire owners that I'm telling you look at this as a corporation. So when I say minor hockey, if I can take a 16-year-old who's playing in Sarnia one day and trade him to London, Ontario, the next, and he has to move during the school year, how minor is that versus professional? You can trade kids from one city to another, and they don't have any choice. They got to go. So I really stood out to me when it said minor league, but I can go and bet during the World Juniors during Boxing Day when Canada plays, and these are under 20 players. So I don't understand, and I think it's wrong that, and I think it probably should be an option to bet, because let's not kid ourselves. Junior hockey in Canada, OHL, Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, Western Hockey League are professional, and the owners are raking in the money just like a professional business is. So let's get over it, folks. Let's get beyond it and put it on the board. All right, a few other stories again. Is that seems like slowly but surely. I don't know who Shirley is. Do you know Shirley?
I was just going to ask you, who is Shirley?
She's not the lady from next. Maybe she's the lady from down the street.
Oh dear.
No, okay.
You're in big trouble.
No. So So Ronaldo was the first piece to fall when it came to soccer's movement of high-profile players heading for big dollars to Saudi Arabia. And it looks like it's continuing. So Karim Benzema of the Real Madrid, I talked about a few weeks back, is going to move to Saudi Arabia for big dollars. It looks like Man City for Bernardo Silva is close to finalizing a move as well. The Saudi Pro League, and that's according to Sky Sports. And you're starting to see more and more and more and more. And a lot of players that have already won, a Champions League title or have had success to kind of on the twilight of their career or the back end of their career collect the big money. So I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know what megastars are going to eventually leave and go to Saudi Arabia.
Interesting.
Do you know the Saudis have a lot of money, right?
Oh, yeah.
They got trillions of dollars.
Yep.
And just today, not the Saudis, but the Qatari public fund, is the first consortium that is actually going to buy a minority interest in the group that owns the Washington Wizards and the Washington Capitals. So times are changing. And, which is an interesting note, if you listen to, and I do, the Ross Tucker podcast, him and Andrew Brandt, the Business of Sport, we're talking about the LIV Tour and talking about the PGA Tour and the money, and tying it in, which was an interesting conversation related to the NFL. Okay, so the NFL does not allow a corporation to own a team. It has to be an individual that has the majority stake with partners.
Okay.
So, for example, the Toronto Maple Leafs on this side and the Toronto Raptors are owned by a corporation, MLSE, right? Which is Rogers, Bell, and Larry Tannenbaum, who's going to sell actually his minority stake to OMERS, the insurance company, and they make up MLSE. But in the NFL, that's not the case. Now, the problem is that these NFL values of their franchises are skyrocketing so much that you're running out of multi-billionaires that can actually afford buying these teams. So it's a matter of time that you probably will see Saudi or other like Qatari ownership creep into the NFL. It's changing. It's changing big time. So we'll see what happens there. I know that really interests you. Maybe almost made you fall asleep, did it?
No, just thinking, I want to be that rich.
Yeah. Well, speaking of rich, I was like, Middleton, the Milwaukee Bucks. I forgot to mention this. So, it's Kevin Middleton. What the hell's his name? Sorry, fill the dead air, please. Go ahead.
I was going to say, this is what happens when you're old. You kind of forget things.
Okay, so Chris Middleton. What? Sorry, what did you say? I forgot what you said. Sorry. So Chris Middleton, Milwaukee Bucks. So players in the NBA usually sign contracts where they allow themselves to opt out of the contract to go back to free agency. It just opened my eyes today. Chris Middleton of the Milwaukee Bucks, or maybe formerly, depending on how free agency goes, said to the Milwaukee Bucks that next year, thanks but no thanks, I'm going to opt out of my $40 million contract. That's $40 million for 1 year. Because I'm going to test myself in the free agent market. Think about that. Somebody that brings up a briefcase to you, $40 million. And you have that much confidence that, no, I'm good. You know what? I'm going to take my chances. $40 million. And he's going to probably do it because he's going to get multi-years. And again, with the option to option in or out, depending on how he feels the market is after a certain amount of years. Gary Trent Jr. of the Raptors said, I'll opt in. He had like an $18 million contract, I believe. But the NBA players are so powerful that I'm reading the room here. I didn't have a great year. I'm going to take that $18 million. I'll try again next year. It's an insane amount of money. And it's just going to go up and up and up and up. Yeah. That's wild.
Crazy.
All right. So we're going to jump into baseball action. The baseball. Last week, we made a few picks. And let's go through the lady from upstairs' record. So you said for Friday, June the 16th, that the Pittsburgh Pirates and Miami Marlins would go over 8. You win. 1-0 you. You also stated that hold on, please hold. I'm looking at the old stuff, or new stuff, sorry. Holy tomatoes.
Again.
Dead air.
Sign of old age.
Sign of old age.
Sign of old age. You know what? I think I am going to refill my glass.
Okay, let's listen to you refilling your wine. Please tell me that box of wine is recyclable.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, that's great. Let's get some dead air filler. All right, so you had taken June 16th, the Baltimore Orioles and Cubs over 7.5. That was a winner. You took the Yankees and Red Sox over 9.5. That was also a winner.
Ding, ding, ding.
However, you fell slightly short in the Jays-Rangers game where the Jays won 2-1, but you had taken the run line. That was a loser. Angels-Royals, you had taken the Angels run line. That was a winner. And the Cleveland Guardians and the Arizona Diamondbacks, you took over 7.5, which was a loser. Loser.
Thanks.
And for those who are not listening, I got a big L on my forehead for the lady from upstairs. So you were 3 for 5. And my picks included taking the Mets straight up against the Cardinals, which was a winner. And they were actually a dog at plus 100. Took the Colorado Rockies and Atlanta Braves over 9.5. They finished at 9, so I did not get the win there. I took the Phillies in Oakland at the run line. They did win, but they didn't win by more than 2 or more. So I lost. No, sorry, they did. Sorry, I won that. Cincy and Houston over 8.5. Didn't even come close. Lost there. Took the Tampa Bay Rays at minus 116 over the Padres. They did win. So after the first week of our assigned competition, we are both 3 and 5 as we head into this week. But I also want to note you didn't have a good parlay pick, which was Winnipeg and Edmonton to win to make $88. I did. So you're welcome out there for anybody who took that. And I lost by 1 point on the Tiger Cats and Toronto Argonauts on the Sunday night game that finished at 46, and it was supposed to be 46.5, and I had suggested the over. So
That's a killer.
it's a killer. It's a goddamn killer. All right, now we move on to baseball action this week. Okay, time filler because I got to turn my page. Time filler. Time. Talk.
I can start by
Talk.
telling you what. No?
We don't need your time filler anymore.
Oh, jeez. Okay. I see where this is going.
So, this week, here are your picks. Here we go. Do you have them in front of you?
I have them in front of me.
Why don't you go for it?
I'm ready to go.
One at a time. Dramatically, list them off.
Okay. So, I picked Pirates and Marlins game, and I am taking over 8 on that. Okay. Second game, I am taking the Mets and Phillies. I am taking the run line for the Mets.
Okay.
Is that the right terminology?
Yeah, we did clarify that earlier, and yes, that is still the right terminology.
Okay, good. And I took the Angels and Rockies game, and I'm going to take the under 11.5.
Under where?
Under there.
Okay.
And then I took the Nationals and the Padres, and I'm going to take the 1.5 run line for the Padres.
Can I just stop you there for a second?
Yeah.
So I just want to shout out to Fernando Tatis Jr. coming off a steroid suspension, is basically crushing the shit out of the ball. And I find it weird when he, smacks a home run that people are still shouting out steroids. Obviously he's clean now, and obviously he's performing, so it's pretty stupid. Anyway, go ahead.
Just needed a little help, that's all.
Yeah.
And then I took the Astros and Dodgers game, and I took the under 9.
Ooh.
Oh, I don't like that. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, unlike you, I don't mind taking the under sometimes.
How do you know I didn't take an under? You haven't heard my picks yet.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I'm rubbing off on you, honestly. Let's go.
Let's just keep it professional here. No rubbing off on anybody, okay? All right, so now let's listen to winning picks that you should actually perk your ears up and actually write down. Get those pencils sharpened. I'm going to give you a moment to find that pen or pencil and that notepad.
There's technology, so they can actually use their phone now, too.
Either way, you want to get my picks, so be ready. Maybe you want to pause at this point. So, New York Mets, Phillies. I know you took this game, and I know you like the Mets to have the run line, but I like the Phillies to win straight up.
Okay.
So I'm going against you, okay? Minus 112.
All right, let's do
I like
it.
the Phillies. I like the pitching matchup with Walker. The Philly offense was kind of slow today against the Braves. However, they got a potent offense. I'm not expecting much from the Mets. Kansas City taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. All right, so I like Tampa Bay, one of the best teams in baseball. Kansas City's going nowhere, you know what I mean? And you have what did I say? Who's on the mound for the? Zach Greinke's on the mound for the Kansas City Royals, and he may go 4 or 5 innings. He doesn't go long anymore. Terrible. He's not even close to what he was. Easy run line for Tampa Bay, minus 122. Also, Milwaukee, Cleveland, solid matchup in pitching. Shane Bieber on the mound for the Cleveland Guardians. Wade Miley for the Milwaukee Brewers. I do like the under.
What?
Underwear? Under 8.
Wow.
That's what I like. Also, Arizona takes on the San Francisco Giants in San Francisco. I do like the over. Arizona scores runs. San Francisco sneakily scores runs as well. I like that at minus 110. Now, one of the games just as a flyer, the Minnesota Twins are visiting the Detroit Tigers. The Minnesota Twins are terrible. They did win today. However, I do believe that the Tigers at home should are a good value at plus 120. So those are my picks. We'll add them up and we'll let you know the running total each week as we add these up. Now, do you have any CFL picks for the audience?
No, I really don't do CFL. Sorry.
Well, there you go. So for CFL, tomorrow actually, there is the Hamilton Tiger Cats host the Montreal Alouettes. Now, Bo Levi Mitchell for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, quarterback, or at least the guy they brought in to be their guy, probably looks like he's not going to play, injured. And Matt Schultz actually came in relief against the Argos. Looked pretty good. I think he looks like he's more in sync with the offense of the Hamilton wide receivers, and he just looks like he's a better fit. So I like minus 2.5 for Hamilton to knock off the Alouettes. So those are my CFL picks. Do you have any closing thoughts, lady from upstairs? Any other sporting thoughts? Any news, media? Any tips of any kind?
No, not today.
I love your insight, and I love how you can just dive into a topic and expand without being prodded. It's great. All right, so I don't have anything else. It's a quick one. It's a quickie here today for episode 42, and hope you enjoy it. Take a listen, spread the word, get it out there, and again, join us on Twitter at EXPR Overrated, EXPER2, and Facebook on our Facebook page, Overrated Experience Sports Betting Podcast. You can find us there. So, we can say something over there?
I was gonna say you can find the lady upstairs retweeting your tweets.
That's true, because I can hear you tweeting all the time. All right, everybody out there, I know the pleasure's all been yours. We're now over and out.